When you need mealtime inspiration, it's worth shopping Kroger, where you'll find over 30,000 mouth-watering choices that excite your inner foodie. And no matter what tasty choice you make, you'll enjoy our everyday low prices, plus extra ways to save, like digital coupons worth over $600 each week. You can also save up to $1 off per gallon at the pump with fuel points. More savings and more inspiring flavors make shopping Kroger worth it every time. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.
Thanks for choosing this free Anfield Index podcast. If you'd prefer to listen to this or any of our other shows without adverts, then now's the time to check out Anfield Index Pro. With AI Pro, you can supercharge your entire listening experience. You'll not only get all of our podcasts without the ads, but you'll have them far faster with our Quick Publish feature available exclusively for subscribers. AI Pro also puts you in the heart of our sound studio, with an option to listen to many of our shows live and interact with the podcasters in real time as the shows are recording. Upgrading couldn't be easier. AI Pro is available on all popular podcast platforms. Just head on over to AnfieldIndexPro.com and get started today.
Well, welcome to the Daily Red, your lunchtime catch-up on all things Liverpool FC on a Friday, where nothing is happening. Although we did finally get a couple of names dropped by different outlets that would be very, very exciting signings. So the first one is Lenny Yoro. David Ornstein and I think Paul Joyce have both dropped the name Lenny Yoro as someone that Liverpool have a strong interest in and are pursuing a deal for. If you're not familiar with Lenny Yoro, I would say you should become familiar with him, but all the articles do suggest that Real Madrid are also in for him. And, I mean, we've been through this little dance before, and it hasn't worked out in our favour. Now, Yoro is a very, very special centre-back. And if you're looking for someone to bring in now that in, 4 or 5 years can replace Virgil as the lead centre-back while having partnered him in the interim, Lenny Yoro is that kid. He is absolutely sensational. Only 18, doesn't turn 19 until November. 6'3", dominant in the air, actually better aerial numbers than Virgil, though it is the French league, not quite the physicality of the Premier League. Very good in the ball, decent pace, reads the game really well. He would be an exceptional start to our summer. Now, like I say, Real Madrid rumoured to be interested. The reporting from this Spanish side is that Real have basically said to Yoro, we'll have to wait until the end of the window and we only want to pay a certain amount. And if Lille want to sell him earlier and want to maximise the value of him, which I believe they're looking for around 50 to 55 million, according to reports. Real want to pay more around the 35 million mark. Perhaps there is a deal there to be done. This is someone that we have been linked to and rumoured to be interested in for about 18 months now. And you would hope that we've done the necessary groundwork and that we know that he would be open to the move. It's just a matter of whether Real jump in and either match our bid or outbid us. But if we offer more than they're willing to pay, there's a chance they just move on. Real will lose Nacho this summer, which obviously is a blow for them, but not necessarily to the point where they need to go and buy another centre-back. Because when you look at their squad, Eder Militao tore his ACL, missed most of the last season. He'll be back. David Alaba tore his ACL, missed most of the season. He'll be back. They'll still have Antonio Rudiger. They still own a couple of other defenders that spent the season out on loan. And there's a lot of talk that Carlo actually wants to play Tchouaméni as a centre-back. So if all of that is the case, then maybe they don't make the move. Maybe they just decide to go and do something else. They're obviously linked to Alphonso Davies. They've been linked to Trent. It's hard to predict what Real will do. But there is a strong possibility that they don't look to strengthen at centre-back this year, and that getting Yoro would merely be future-proofing, getting him in for the long time, taking advantage of the fact that he has a year left on his contract and that they could get him well under market value. And the later it goes in the window, they'll be hoping the more desperate Lille get just to get a fee, because Lille have had pretty significant financial troubles in recent years. And Real might just feel Lille will take 30 million late in August rather than lose him for nothing next summer, which, to be fair, they probably would. But if we're willing to pay the 50 to 55 now that Lille want, Real, having done the Mbappe deal, which is very, very costly regardless of the fact that it is a quote-unquote free signing, when you factor in the signing bonus, the agent fees, and the wages he's going to command, that's going to eat up a lot of money. They've also just spent an absolute fortune on the stadium. They've spent heavily in recent years on some really good recruits, but they do seem to find money when they need it. But just this summer, if they want to also bring in a left back, which does seem to be something of a priority, there's talk that they want to find a long-term solution at right back, which I assume is where Trent would come in. And there might be one or two other bits and bobs they want to do. Maybe they don't make the move for Yoro, and maybe that opens things up for us. The other club that were mentioned is United. I wouldn't have too much concern about them beating us to Yoro. The other name then is Michael Elise, who's been mentioned by a couple of Crystal Palace patch journalists and by the Telegraph. Now, it's been made clear, as I said on the transfer committee pod, he has a buyout. It's 60 million-ish, and it is for Champions League clubs. It's not for your Chelseas and your Uniteds. So if they want him, they will have to pay whatever it is Palace want. And if you're Crystal Palace and you're sitting there with a player like him at his age, under contract for at least another 4 years, you're well within your rights to say, we want 100 million for him. Now, Bayern Munich have been mentioned, and to be honest, him at Bayern combining with Musiala, Harry Kane would probably be the happiest man in the world because of the amount of service he'd get. But Elise'd be brilliant for us. Absolutely brilliant, especially at that price. Another interesting thing that was noted by a few people yesterday is that there's a dispute now between Porto and Boca Juniors because Porto have not paid the next installment in the fee for Alan Varela. When they signed him last summer for, I believe, 10 million, they paid 3 million up front and were meant to have paid the second installment by now and haven't because they're broke. So they might be willing to sell him below the 60 million euro release clause, and perhaps even lower than the 50 million that it was suggested they would accept. And I do wonder if, given he was a player that the analytics department apparently liked last summer, and there were some rumours that we'd met with his agent, I do wonder if we could perhaps get him for around the same money that we paid for Alexis, around that 35 million mark. Because if we can, then it's a no-brainer. And that's your midfield pivot, Alan Varela and Alexis McAllister. And you're set for quite a while. And then behind them, you've got Endo, you've got Curtis. You can bring Besetic along really slowly. That would set us up in midfield quite nicely. Obviously, Endo will leave in a year or two, depending on how he holds out physically. But if you don't feel Besetic is ready to step up, it'll be really easy to go and get another midfielder next summer if need be. Those three would transform us. And they'd mean that the only real outstanding need was a left back. Because Szoboszlai could go left wing, Elise is the 10, Salah right wing, and then Darwin up front. You've got Jota as the backup up front, Elliott as the backup on the right. I suppose Gravenberch as the backup as the 10. Gakpo is the backup on the left. And then, like I say, you'd be pretty strong in midfield. Could also keep Fabio Carvalho around. You've got the young talents to develop, like Bobby Clark, who I think is a natural fit as a 10. Pumas, Dans, Doak, Kate Gordon. Like, you'd be in pretty good shape. And then at left back, if we could get someone like Hincapié, and I know his agent is the same guy that screwed us on the Caicedo deal, but after we did the second episode of the Transfer Committee pod, but the first one where we actually looked at buying players, Dan Kennett spoke a lot about Hincapié and the numbers defensively. So I went on Wisecout and I watched all his defensive actions. Calafiori still would be my first choice. I think the overall package with him is exactly what you want. But as Dan mentioned, there are some concerning injury history things with him. But with Hincapié, like his potential defensively is absolutely enormous. He's so good 1v1, reads the game well, really good recovery pace, and he's good on the ball. And the thing is, he's not, even though he's a natural centre-back, he's only 6 foot, but he is a natural centre-back. But he's still really comfortable on the ball in wide areas. And like, he has no issue overlapping, getting crosses in, involving himself in the final third. So while he wouldn't have Robbo's quality in the final third, you're not losing that outlet down that side by having him there, even though he is more of a centre-back type. He can do whatever you need him to do in that role. Yaro, Hincapié, Elise, and Varela would be a pretty close to perfect window. I think Yaros can step up and replace Kelleher, assuming Kelleher goes. Bring in someone like an Alex McCarthy to replace Adrian if Adrian does turn down the contract, as Jack Lusby has suggested on This Is Anfield that he might. It's all doable at fairly reasonable money, especially if we can sell Diaz. Like, selling Diaz will more than cover Elise. And if you get Yaro, Hincapié, and Varela for, I don't know, somewhere in the 150 million mark, with other sales that we have to make, like Costas, like Kelleher, like, you're not asking FSG to pump in 200-300 million. And given this is a new manager, you would expect that there will, and that we didn't spend close to what we had to spend last summer, you'd expect there's a sizable chunk sitting there ready to be spent. And remember, we're back in the Champions League, so we can project out ahead that we'll have improved revenues next year, which is obviously a very good thing. On This Is Anfield, they have a piece ahead of the Euro 2024 tournament, which kicks off tonight. There's a piece about Darwin, a piece about Andy Robertson, Ryan Gravenberch. Why Ryan Gravenberch is happy to see Arnie Slot at Liverpool suits Ryan better. That's come from his father, who says that Arnie Slot's style is more like the Ajax, Man City, Arsenal style, which it really isn't. Like, it really isn't. On the ball, it's a lot more like Brighton. And off the ball, it's closer to the old Liverpool. It's not really like Arsenal or Man City at all. Now, maybe he'll alter it, but either way, a double pivot doesn't suit Ryan Gravenberch, but he could be the backup 10, but he certainly shouldn't ever be starting. Liverpool legend explains controversial Everton move. Oh, it's Sammy Lee just talked about when he worked there. Never had an issue with Sammy Lee working there. Sammy Lee was an incredible servant to Liverpool as a player, a coach, an assistant to the Hodge, obviously, which was a little bit unfortunate. But, I mean, Sammy Lee's a club legend. He took a job. At the end of the day, he took a job working for Everton. No issue there, to be honest. Jurgen Klopp was at the Taylor Swift concert last night, and he was pictured wearing Love Heart sunglasses, which is just tremendous. Jurgen does seem to be really enjoying life this summer, which is really, really good. And credit to her. Credit to him, rather, and credit to his wife, who's clearly very happy and, keeping him happy and keeping him in good spirits. Because when you leave anything after 9 years, it's going to be tough. There's going to be some sort of a psychological dip, but Jurgen seems to really be living his best life. Taylor Swift apparently announced last night that she had broken the all-time attendance record for Anfield. Whether or not that's true, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure somebody will know. It'll come out eventually. Maybe it's the all-time record for a gig held there, but I would have doubts it's the all-time record. The all-time record is 61,905, which is the number that attended the FA Cup game against Wolves in 1952. I would just have some doubts that it was higher than that, but yeah, maybe. People seem to have really enjoyed the gig, so fair play. Euro 2024, 10 players representing 7 teams, and we have 3 captains. So obviously, Trent and Joe Gomez will be in the England team. Andy Robertson will be in the Scotland team, assuming fitness. Szoboszlai in the...
I don't need a VPN. I've got nothing to hide. This is what I used to tell myself before I hooked up with LibertyShield.com. Not only is my home internet now fully encrypted, but I can now access all the websites I want, whenever I want, and do so from absolutely anywhere. As a Liverpool fan, I love to know I can now watch every match, regardless of whether it's on UK TV or not. My Liberty Shield VPN makes sure nothing is blocked and guarantees me super fast streaming speed throughout that match. You can get connected right now with their software package, which includes a 48-hour no-obligation free trial and instant access to their apps for Apple, Android, Fire TV, PC, Mac and Android TV. Or go a step further like I have and get one of their pre-configured VPN routers. These small but powerful devices allow you to easily connect every device in your home to VPN, making it the perfect solution for smart TVs, Mac boxes and games consoles. Visit LibertyShield.com today and use coupon code AIVPN25 to get 25% off at checkout.
Hungarian team, and obviously him and Robbo are both captains, as is Virgil with the Netherlands. Cody and Gravenberg also in that squad. Ibu in the French squad. Jota in the Portuguese squad, and Jaros in the Czech Republic squad. So, key dates to note. First match of the tournament is tonight. It's Scotland against Germany. There is some doubts over Robertson's fitness, but we'll see. Scotland will then play Hungary on the 23rd of June. So that will be Dominic against Robbo. That will be an interesting one. The Netherlands will play France on the 21st. So we'll get certainly Virgil and Cody up against Ibu. And then I'm really not in agreement with this last bit. Portugal and Jota's trickiest group match is arguably their opening clash against the Czech Republic. I actually think the Czech Republic are the weakest team in that group, so I don't agree with that at all. But look, it is what it is. So the round of 16 games will be June 29th to July 2nd after this run of group games. The quarterfinals are July 5th and 6th. Semi-finals are the 9th and 10th, and then the final is at 8 p.m. on the 14th. And then later that night, it's actually 1 a.m. our time, but it's 8 p.m. rather, in the US. It will be the final of the Copa America, which should be absolutely fantastic. Scotland play the 14th, the 19th, and the 23rd. Hungary play the 15th, the 19th, and then the 23rd against Scotland. England play the 16th, the 20th, and the 25th. The Netherlands play the 16th, the 21st, and the 25th. France play the 17th, the 21st against the Netherlands, and the 25th. The Czech Republic, though, I would have doubts Jaros will play. That's the 18th, the 22nd, and the 26th. That game on the 18th is against the Portuguese, who also play the 22nd and 26th. So that's all the Liverpool involvement in this summer's European Championships, which I still maintain has too many teams, but should be decent. And hopefully there's like a couple of players that really emerge and kind of break new ground for themselves. You know, we always see it at tournaments. There's always one or two players that really just breaks through the glass ceiling at an international tournament and likely earns a move somewhere. Now, they do always warn against buying players based on a good tournament. So it's unlikely we would do that unless it's someone we were already tracking beforehand. Like, for example, if Kvaratskhelia was to have a great tournament, we already know he's a great player and we already have had interest in him. So it wouldn't sway it, but it might just give us a little bump to go and get him. There's always one team as well that really goes above and beyond what was expected of them. Happens at most tournaments. Not all of them, but most of them. So it was just that one team that, like Morocco at the last World Cup, no one expected them to do that well. Denmark at the Euros, I suppose, would be another. So there's probably one team that's going to surprise everybody. Let's see. Anfield Watch. We are boycotting Liverpool.com for a few days. Anfield Watch. Klopp returns to Anfield as Taylor Swift sets new attendance record. As piece about Conor Bradley. It looks like Nuri Sahin, former Liverpool midfielder, although briefly, could become the new Borussia Dortmund coach because Edin Terzic has resigned. There's a piece about Virgil and interest from Saudi. I just don't see Virgil wanting to move to Saudi. Piece about Gravenberch. Liverpool told they now have a much better player than the one they signed in 2023. We'll wait to see. Let's see. Noel Gallagher says Pep City and Klopp's Liverpool would fucking annihilate United's 1999 treble winners. No, I disagree. I think it'd be really good games, but they wouldn't annihilate them. I mean, that United team, I mean, they were brilliant, let's be honest. They were absolutely brilliant. And that midfield of theirs is incredible. And if the game is played then, and we lose all the physical advantages that have come from football in the last 25 years, and also the rules are those 99 rules, then they're going to have a distinct advantage over us. And if the game was now, and they have all of the same training methods and nutrition and all that kind of stuff that players have now, well, they're absolutely a match technically. That United team was always incredible in terms of fitness. Like Beckham, Keane and Giggs were just monsters in midfield in terms of their physicality, their ability to just continually eat up ground and work. And I mean, Beckham was incredible off the ball and obviously a phenomenal passer. Giggs' ability to constantly make those runs over and over and over again at high speed. Keane was a savage. Roy Keane was a savage. And if they had today's methodology, they'd absolutely be among the very, very top players that play now. Former Red Star receives emergency call. That's Emre Can. There's a piece about Darwin and the other players, the Liverpool players going to the Copa America. Andy Robertson's injury problems highlight need for left-back changes. We need a new left-back. We need a starting left-back, and we ideally should be looking to sell Andy Robertson this summer. He's 30 years of age. He's got 2 years left in his deal. He's only going to continue to get more injuries and to continue to decline as he has over the last 2 years, and his value will just drop. And he earns a lot of money, and he deserves every penny of it. It's not the issue, but I don't really like us paying huge money to players that aren't starting, and he shouldn't really be starting for a whole lot longer. There's a piece about Elise, a piece about Yoro, and a piece about Mo. I'm not sure I buy the idea that Mo had a hair transplant. Now, maybe he did, but that picture there, I don't know. I don't know. It's hard to say. If he did, fair play to him. Rooney's hasn't stayed well, has it? And you'll see the video of him on the overlap where they're at the tactics board talking about Trent and a few of the bits and bobs, and he's looking very, very wispy again on top. So yeah, what have we got here? Reds braced for Bayern Munich bid for Joe Gomez. There's rumours going around that Bayern have interest in Joe Gomez. Maybe it's true, but it's from the Mirror, so I wouldn't be inclined to believe it. There's also mention of the fact that Matthias de Ligt is for sale. We should swerve that at all costs. Real Madrid have allegedly placed an asking price on Rodrigo. Look, if they really, really want Trent and he doesn't want to sign a new contract, I'm sure there's a deal that could be done there. Because Rodrigo's a player that we've liked for years, and we tried to buy him before they did. Liverpool will push for rule change which will hurt Man City. Liverpool have been tipped to lead the charge towards banning all associated party transactions. So this is where you can't do commercial deals with companies that have any kind of link. City would be screwed. City eye Reds' favourite as Pep Guardiola's successor. It's about Xabi. I just don't see Xabi Alonso going to Man City. My bet is he stays at Leverkusen at least one more year, maybe two, then takes the Real job, does that for 4 or 5 years, and then maybe comes to us, or he might go to Bayern first and then come to us, but I don't think he'll go to City. Jagielka expresses serious doubt about Trent Alexander-Arnold midfield move. Fair. It is fair criticism. It's fair concern. Rooney questions Southgate's handling of Jarrell Quansah. Jarrell Quansah found himself at the centre of a debate following England's 1-0 defeat to Iceland last Friday. Yeah, I mean, Quansah was obviously told, look, you're not going to be in the squad for the Euros, as was Grealish and Maddison and Curtis Jones and Maguire. Maguire was unable to play against Iceland regardless. But Maddison and Jones just went home. Like, they were told, if you don't want to stay, it's fine. On you go. Personally, I think Curtis should have stayed and just, tried to get a cap. But Quansah did stay. And it really felt like he should have been rewarded with a cap. And he wasn't given one, which is just disappointing. And I do think it's poor management from Southgate. Forgotten 35 million man set for championship free transfer. It looks like Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain is on his way back to England. Sheffield United being linked. Onana favoured over Bijlow last summer. Liverpool are reportedly considering a move for a goalkeeper who just last summer was considered to not quite be of the level of Andre Onana. It's based on some nonsense from Romano, so who knows. Loyalist Flute Band plays Secretariat Anthem at Anfield away to Focus. Dreadful set of lads. Liverpool fans don't care about England. I mean, you didn't really need to do a survey to find out that. What was surprising was the amount that said that they were, more, that they felt closer to their national team than their club team. You'd assume they're people, obviously, that aren't from the city of Liverpool. Maybe people from the home counties and places like that. No, nothing against them. Like, if that's your bag, then that's your bag. So, fair play. Like, I don't understand why people get so upset about it. Like, if that's what people want to do, let them at it. How does it affect anybody else? Right, there is a bunch of new pieces on the Anfield Index website. Ian Doyle has suggested that we could look at Matthias de Ligt. And potentially someone we could sign. I really don't think so. I really don't think he's someone that we would look at. Like, he hasn't been good for Bayern. He wasn't good at Juve. He did have some injuries, but I just don't see him being someone that we would look to bring in. There's a piece here about Yankuba Minta, which is obviously a deal that's been circling around for a while, but the club seem to have dismissed it. We'll wait and see if there's anything that comes for it. Liverpool's Lenny Yoro pursuit, a dream that won't come true, is obviously pointing to the Real Madrid interest and the fact that if Real want a player and they're willing to pay the money, generally Real get the player because they operate on a different level to everybody else. What else do we have here? We've got a piece about Virgil and the Saudi interest in him. Al Nassr are apparently the club that are interested. That's the club that Cristiano plays for. Sadio's obviously there as well, though there's been some rumours that Sadio could be on his way out. He hasn't had the best of times, I don't think, since going there, but sometimes it just takes time to acclimatise and settle in. But yeah, the suggestion is that Al Nassr could be prepared to make him the highest paid defender in the world and pay us a princely sum. I would turn it down no matter what the offer is and make sure he signs a new contract. And then there is a piece about Alan Varela, and it's based on what I had to say the other day on the transfer committee pod. Chloe's written that one up, so I'm a huge fan. I think he is ideal. Like, a lot of people look at just his FB ref page and they're like, oh, he doesn't tackle enough. Go to view full scouting report and then go through the tabs and look at what he was doing for Boca, particularly in the Copa Libertadores. He is capable of doing what Ederson does, or he's capable of doing what he's done for Porto, which is to be more of a preventer, someone that doesn't necessarily go and make the challenge, but meets the runner and leads them somewhere else so that someone else can make the tackle. I think he's super intelligent, super good. So, yeah, super good. Well, he is super good. So I'm going to stick with that. What else have I got then? We've got some podcasts that we have. I've lost my train of thought because I've just seen something and then it's moved. Yeah, we've got the podcast that we've discussed in the last couple of days. We've got the new Buzz pod, which is myself and Trev talking about Robin Williams. And we have the transfer committee pod, which is the final part. It's Harry Sethi, myself, Dan Kennett, and Mo Chatra. Something came up on the screen and then moved, and now I can't find it again. Oh, not to worry. Right, folks, enjoy your weekends. Enjoy the beginning of the Euros. And I will see you all on Monday. Take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.
We hope you enjoyed listening to this Anfield Index show. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel so future podcasts find their way to your device automatically. There's nothing quite like fan engagement, and we'd love to know what you think of anything discussed on this show. The best way to get in touch is over on our free Discord community, where both podcasters and listeners debate the hottest LFC topics 24/7. Sign up free now at AnfieldIndex.com/Discord. You won't regret it. You can also follow us on Twitter at Anfield Index and find us on Facebook by searching for Anfield Index. Oh, and before you go, we'd love it if you could leave us a 5-star review on your favourite podcast app. It only takes a couple of seconds, and it means the world to the people who create these free shows.
Sports Social Podcast Network.